Obviously, the big question about them is, are they the team that's going to take the leap in 2025? We've seen two big leaps, I would say. I'd say if you were to highlight two teams over the past 2 years who have taken a big leap, who would you guys say? Last year, who took the gigantic leap?
Commanders.
The year before that, 2023, who took the gigantic leap?
Lions. Packers.
Let's keep thinking. 2023, what team took the gigantic leap? Similar to the Commanders in a lot of ways.
NFC?
No.
It was AFC. Texans.
The Texans. We sat there in 2023 and we said, I remember we looked up the odds to get the number one pick in the 2024 draft, and Houston, I believe, was 1 or 2. I think they were 1, actually. And they wound up going to the playoffs. Year one of CJ Stroud, Jayden Daniels last year leads the Commanders. But there's another piece to that puzzle that Jack is going to be very upset with. The other piece to each of those puzzles is it was year one of DeMeco Ryans, and it was year one of Dan Quinn in Washington last year.
Because they needed culture changers.
Culture changers, exactly. Chicago Bears have been a dumpster fire. They've been a shit show for a really, really long time. And this is now year one of Ben Johnson, someone that everybody around the NFL has believed could be a culture changer for a pretty long time. Number one coaching candidate coming out. Caleb Williams is not a rookie like Jayden Daniels or CJ Stroud was during their ascension, but I think that actually, if anything, bodes well for the Bears. And when you look at Chicago top to bottom, the other big thing that they did was for the first time in a while, they came out in the offseason and said, let's actually address our needs. Let's actually address the offensive line. Let's actually make it so that our draft pick at number 10 here can feel like more of a luxury than just plugging into an actual need. The Bears are in really good shape as an organization right now for the first time in a really long time. And I think that the belief should be higher than ever. Higher than when they drafted Justin Fields, should be higher than coming off the 13-3 season with Mitch Trubisky, where there were glaring holes on that roster that were covered up by a generational Khalil Mack season and a defense that had 29 turnovers forced. I think it might have been 29 interceptions.
It was 29 takeaways.
Takeaways, yeah. So I look at Chicago this year, and I think that they're the team that you circle as one who could take the pretty big leap. The concern I have, actually, and what's disappointing for Bears fans, is that the schedule's really hard. So I actually think that this Chicago roster is going to play a lot better next year, but I'm not sure if it'll translate into the same kind of success that the Commanders and the Texans had last season. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, and I do think it's a fair point to say that that's the team who takes the leap. But I say that more so because I have a hard time seeing really who else it would be. When it was Houston,
the Patriots.
I mean, I think they're so down in the dumps, the Patriots. Whereas
What about the quarterback? What else do you need?
Houston had Stroud when they took their jump.
Patriots have May. They bring in Vrabel.
Chicago's
big defensive additions.
Chicago's roster is much better than the Pats around that, right?
I think so. I mean, if you compare them both, well, look, the Patriots went out and they had a pretty good offseason.
All I'm saying is, like, Stroud was like the flashy star.
Mm-hmm.
Jayden Daniels, a flashy star. Caleb Williams also, his people do love him as that kind of flashy star who can make plays. Kind of unlike Drake May. Like, he's just more flashy and more attractive in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that was CJ Stroud, and that was Jayden Daniels.
He's not just more attractive in that sense.
You're right. He also paints his nails pink. So, but yeah, now the offensive line is built up. He has
Adunze,
DJ Moore, right? So the pieces are there.
Maybe Tyler Warren.
Yeah, right. After the draft, like, you never know. The pieces are there for this team to be solid and to exceed expectations. I think there should be hope. I think there's a better chance of them than a lot of others.
Well, it's cute that you're saying that. All that nice stuff about Caleb Williams, because we all know that DeAndre Swift is the focal,
the engine.
I also do agree. Like, I don't think Caleb Williams is good, but I'm just saying why Bears fans should have hope if they think he is good.
Ziggy, do you think that the Bears, if you're picking a team, if you're pinpointing that team that's going to take the jump, is it fair to call the Bears that team?
One thing I've learned, I went back for a while and took a look at teams trying to figure out. This is the beginning of the offseason, trying to figure out whether or not it made like whether or not quarterbacks surrounding talent had a huge impact on how players ended up doing over the first couple of years of their career. And one thing I realized from that is we're really, really bad at predicting who's going to be in a good situation, who won't. Because there's so many factors and the quarterback plays such a big role. Is the offensive line good? Hard to tell. Are the weapons good? Hard to tell. Like there's just so much going on for every player. I think that the Bears are a natural candidate to be good next year. And honestly, the Bears were not as bad last year as a lot of people think. They, more than any other team in the NFL, they were completely held back by the coaching situation. There were no leaders in that room. And still, they won 5 games and were very close to winning more, playing a very hard schedule. So I said last year, the goal wasn't win total. The goal was Caleb Williams improving, and he did. This year, I think you can't sit back and say, well, we have a schedule against teams that were good last year. You never know who's going to be good and who isn't. The Bears have to win games, and if they're good enough, I'm not saying they're going to win 13, 14, 15 games, but there's a reason the division is in play.
Yeah, I do feel, though, we can come back to this question in a couple weeks when the draft has come to a conclusion, though, as well. I mean, let's say...
Yeah, they did number 10 pick.
Right. But then also a team like, I don't know, it depends how much you love Cam Ward. And the Titans get him. And they're playing the Colts and the Jags and not Green Bay and the Lions.
Yeah, but who knows? Who knows when a team's going to be good, right? Every year there are teams. Divisions end up way harder or way easier than expected. Yeah. Like teams would have circled the 49ers last year and said that's going to be one of our hardest games of the entire year.
And teams would have circled the Vikings and said that should be a win.
Yeah.
Would have done that. Most teams would have circled the Commanders and said that's a win too. So yeah, you're right. You can't look at it like that. But I really do think that the Bears are. It's funny. I saw Danny Parkins went on his show this morning, and he was wearing. It was really funny actually. He was wearing 3 championship rings. A huge Bears fan, and he said, he's like, yeah, I'm taking the offseason Super Bowl win. He said, I'll take the one from 2022. I'll take last year's, and I'm taking this year's because I really believe. It was a great segment, but we can make fun of the Bears again for all of the offseason Super Bowls that they've won here, for being the best offseason team and then flopping during the regular season. But I really do think that this is a year where we should see some major growth. And that's a great point you made, Ziggy. They were 1-5 in the division last year, but actually think about those games, right? They lost in overtime to the Vikings in Chicago in a game, honestly, where the Vikings kind of kicked their ass, but they came back late. But still, overtime game.
You get a close win however you can, right?
Blocked field goal against the Packers to lose. And the Thanksgiving Day game against the Bears with the coaching disaster at the end.
Yeah. Well,
and then they beat Green Bay, but Jordan Love was hurt at the end in that game. But still, those are 4 games in your division where it really could have gone either way at the end of it.
And if the Bears won 4 games in that division, you just need to imagine not giving up the Hail Mary and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ifs, and this is any Packer fan watching.
But they're close, right? That's the
if.
But this is the first time in how long that the Bears have felt genuinely close to being a good team with competent players at important positions. Like, when was the last time you could actually think that? Maybe after the Mitch Trubisky fluke year.
Oh, no,
was the last time you really felt could have defensively said this team could be good?
I think you're right, Jack.
It's Matt Forte, Brandon Marshall, and Jay Cutler.
It's been forever.
I think the expectations I think this is like the highest expectation the Bears should have in 30 years.
What about Denver?
Denver's not bad. It depends on what you.
Yeah, but Denver wouldn't be the same level of turnaround.
Yeah, they made the playoffs. Last year.
It is also so tough. Like in that AFC, it's so hard for other teams to really.
I mean, look, if the Broncos win the AFC West, then there's the biggest turnaround. Like a lot of teams, the Chargers. If the Chargers win the AFC West, even though they were a playoff team, but this is where we're talking about, like a 5-win team going to a 10-win team.
Yeah.
Or a 3-win team. And I think the Patriots and Bears are probably the 2 teams to look at for next season.